Hi, this is Solomon with the Mortgage Hub, and one of the most common questions I get from home buyers is, what are the documents they're going to need to get pre-approved for a mortgage? And the good news is getting pre-approved is pretty straightforward if you know what the documents are that you need to gather. So let me first clarify the difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval. So pre-qualification is where the lender or loan officer gathers some basic information, like maybe a pay stub or two, and ask you, what you're going to be using as what you'll have available for down payment. They'll pull credit, and they issue you a pre-qualification letter. It's quick, but it doesn't carry much weight with sellers because the lender really hasn't verified the information. A pre-approval is a little bit different. This is when the loan officer and his or her team actually reviews the actual documentation that you provide. They pull credit, and they're going to issue a letter stating the loan amount that you're approved for. So this is what you would need to make an offer in a house. Sellers and agents also like pre-approval letters because they know they take it seriously because they know that the lenders actually vetted the financial information that you provided. One level above that would probably be an underwritten pre-approval, which is when not only the loan officer and his or her team has reviewed the information, but the income has then, typically the income and credit and assets are reviewed by an underwriter. So it holds a little bit more weight. It's one step above what I would say a pre-approval would be. So during a pre-approval or pre-qualification, they're looking for three things, right? Reviewing the income, the credit, and the assets. So let's break down what we're going to need for each. So for income documentation, if you're a W-2 employee, meaning you work for a company and get a regular paycheck, you'll need 30 days of pay stubs, whether that's bi-weekly or weekly or monthly. You'll need 2 years of W-2s. If you do get bonus and commission, we generally ask for the last pay stub of the previous 2 years, because that generally will break down what the bonus and commission amounts are, because the bonus and commission will need to be averaged over the last 2 years. You're self-employed, meaning you own a business or 1099 contractor, or you file a Schedule C. The documentation is a little bit different. You'll need to get the personal tax returns or provide personal tax returns for the past 2 years, including all the schedules. If your business is set up as a corporation, partnership, LLC, etc., you will need also 2 years of business tax returns. Okay? I covered this in more detail in another video about self-employment documentation, so check that out if that's your situation. If you receive other income like Social Security, pension, disability, retirement distribution, etc., you'll need documentation for those as well. So look at award letters, pension statements, 1099 showing that income. Next would be if you're paying or receiving something like child support or alimony, you'll need the divorce decree or separation agreement. If you're receiving it and want to use it as income, we'll also need to show proof that you've been receiving those payments regularly, consistently. If you own rental properties, we'll need the most recent filed tax return. And if that property has just been put into place, so it's not on your previous tax return, we'll need lease agreements for it, and we'll also need proof of the deposit in the first month. Okay. Asset documentation. So, meaning the money that you will use for down payment and closing costs. We'll need 2 months of those bank statements for all the accounts that you're going to be using. So checking, savings, investment accounts, etc. If you are going to be getting a gift, from a family member, we'll need details of who's going to be gifting it, so their contact information, which account they are going to be sending it from. A tip here, very important one, is if you are getting a gift or talking to your family members about a gift, I would say 100% do not have them transfer those gift funds into your account yet. The best thing to do there would be to wait until closing and have them wire those funds directly to closing. It makes the documentation process much, much easier. So definitely keep that in mind. If you're using retirement funds like 401k or IRA, and if you're planning to use those, we will need covering those as well. Sometimes they only issue those statements on a quarterly basis, so we'll need the most recent quarter. Okay. Credit documentation. For credit, you really don't need to provide anything. We'll pull the soft credit pull most of the time. Hard credit pull is not going to be pulled until later in the process, once you get closer, to actually going closer to having an offer accepted and starting the actual underwriting process, not the pre-underwriting process. But if we run credit and there's some collections or late payments or disputes, we'll ask for additional documentation so we can write up letters of explanation for those collections or late payments, etc. Other documentation that may be requested would be any valid government ID, right? Driver's license. If you're not a U.S. citizen, we'll need to show immigration documentation that shows your immigration status, so green card or work visa. If you own real estate, so other real estate besides this new property here that you're buying, we'll need to document the debt on that real estate. So that would be things like the mortgage statement, for that property. Property tax bill is something that a lender can pull themselves. We'll need the homeowner's insurance declarations page to prove how much you're paying, in yearly or monthly premium. And if you're in an HOA, we'll need to document what the HOA payment is, whether that's yearly, quarterly, monthly. So there's other things that you can kind of don't worry about at the moment, which is anything that is going to be tied to the new property that you're buying, right? So things like an appraisal or new homeowners insurance quotes or title information, none of those are going to be applicable during the pre-approval process because obviously you haven't gotten an offer accepted. The reason why these documents are so important is two reasons, right? It's number one, being prepared, having a pre-approval in place is important to be able to make an offer, right? The seller, your buyer's agent, the listing agent is going to take the offer a lot more seriously. And the timeline typically to get a pre-approval done, once you know what the documentation is and you can submit it, it's about 24 to 48 hours. So knowing what that list entails is important to be able to speed up that process. One tip that I forgot to add earlier was that on the bank statement side, okay, always make sure that your bank statements are complete, right? Which means that we'll need the actual full month bank statements for your account rather than a online screenshot or a transaction history. Okay, this can be used later on, and we can cross that bridge later, like if we need a transaction history. But at the beginning stages, we just need a full 2 months of full bank statements. So to recap, for income, we'll need W-2, pay stubs, tax returns, personal and business, if applicable. For assets, we're going to need 2 months of bank statements for the funds that you're going to be using for down payment, closing costs, and potentially needed for reserves. The credit, you don't need to worry about anything. The lender will pull the credit, plus your ID, government ID, and any additional documentation for your specific scenario that we discussed. So once you have these ready to go, you'll be on your way to a fast, quick pre-approval. Now, if you're self-employed and want to understand more about how lenders calculate the income on your tax returns, check out my other videos on self-employed mortgages. If you're ready to get started with a pre-approval, give me a call. I'll be happy to walk you through your exact scenario. Thanks.